Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps Law Firm for Seniors and Disabled. Welcome to our YouTube live today, Thursday, March 13th. Glad to have you here. My name's Eric, attorney for 46 years now, founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled who owe debt they can't afford to pay. We educate seniors. Number one, we educate them how they can maintain their financial independence, but our most important mission is to protect seniors from debt collector harassment. We do that under a federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors have to communicate with the attorney, not you. They have to leave you alone. We want to welcome you to our YouTube page and YouTube channel today. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat feature. I'll address it. Hopefully can get the answer for you. If I don't get the answer, or if after you've listened to me, you've got more questions, you can always call us at Helps, 855-435-7787. We don't turn anyone away that needs our help. Okay, so welcome to Helps. Good to have you here. The topic for today that I put out to talk to for a few minutes when bankruptcy makes sense for seniors. I think I'm qualified to talk on that topic, as I probably filed anywhere from 30 to 40,000 bankruptcies before Helps was started. Helps was started because a lot of seniors, the vast majority, didn't need to file bankruptcy. And why was that? Well, because their income was protected. No one could take anything from them. Their assets were protected. The only thing that could happen to is, creditors could call them, harass them, they could sue them, but they couldn't collect anything from them, but it could make their life miserable trying to collect debt from them. And a lot of seniors didn't understand their rights. And so Helps was founded to be able to protect seniors from collectors harassing them under a federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, passed in 1978, the year I graduated from law school. Provided that, if you send a debt collector what's called a cease and desist letter, they have to leave you alone. So that's what Helps does. But occasionally bankruptcy might make sense. Not that often, but I'll give you some reasons. Someone called yesterday, and I got the message, one of the paralegals, to call this person back. I think they were a Helps client. And they had a home, let's say the home was worth $250,000, and they owed about maybe $100,000 on the home, okay? But they had 3 or 4 different judgments totaling $150,000, let's say. And the amount they owed on the judgments was more than what they could sell the home for. And she was saying, I've got this offer, I could sell the home, but there's not enough money to pay these judgments. And I said, asked them where they lived and stuff. And I said, well, you could file a bankruptcy and wipe out the debt on those judgments, and you get those judgment liens removed, and you'd get all that money. You'd get $150,000. All you'd have to worry about paying is the existing mortgage, and they owed a little bit of taxes, income taxes. There was a tax lien, and she had no idea she could do that. And in some states, states have different rules. In some states, a judgment is not a lien on a home, okay? Or there's something you can file before there's a judgment that, protects your equity in your home up to a certain amount. California is a good example. In other states, there's paperwork you can file if there is a judgment, it's a lien on your home, and you want to sell the home, to have the lien removed, okay? Florida is an example. Texas is an example. And then in some states, the only way to get a judgment lien removed is by filing a bankruptcy. So if someone sues you and has a judgment against you and it's a lien on the home, a lot of times there's a way to get that lien removed. Okay, now a lot of times it may not matter. For example, if a husband and wife own a home together, and the husband is 80 and the wife is 75, the husband's likely going to pass away before the wife, and the judgment's only against the husband. So when the husband passes away, the judgment lien disappears. The home is in the wife's name. There's nothing to worry about. There's no need to do anything. But if you're going to sell the home and there's a judgment and it's a lien that you might have to pay, maybe because of your state law, because of the amount of equity you're allowed to have as a homestead exemption, you can get that lien removed so you can get that money for yourself, okay, and not have to pay that. So that's one reason where a bankruptcy could make sense for a senior. Another, once in a while, not very often, but I'll talk to seniors and I'll explain, well, you don't really need to file bankruptcy, not necessary, but maybe just psychologically, the fact of them owing the debt is just overwhelming. Even if I explain to them, the creditors can't do anything, even if they sue, you're not going to have to go to court and stuff. If you have the money and you want to, you could possibly then choose to file bankruptcy. It could make sense to do that. Or if you're really young, if you're early 60s and you say, well, there are different reasons where bankruptcy could make sense. And we're happy to tell people our ideas on that. We don't give legal advice. We don't file bankruptcy for people. But I certainly tell people when it can make sense. But for the vast majority of seniors, they probably don't need to worry about a bankruptcy at all. If you have any questions, put them in the chat feature. Welcome. Okay, so this person contacted us from Kansas. They're being sued for credit card debt in Kansas. I'm a senior citizen and need advice. I have a court date on March 17th for discovery and not been served a summons. I have another court date for Citibank. I lost my pension income of so much. I need advice pretty quickly. Well, okay. The person says they have a court date for discover, but they haven't been served. I'm not sure how they know that there was a lawsuit against them. Maybe they got a letter from an attorney advertising bankruptcy. Some attorneys that advertise bankruptcy will send a letter to someone letting them know they've been sued. Maybe they attach a copy of the lawsuit. They subscribe to a service that lets them know when someone's been served in the area where they practice, and they try to drum up business by doing that. No, if you haven't been served, there's, you may have been sued, but you haven't been served. The process hasn't started yet. Okay. And then if you do get sued, and it talks about a court date on there, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to court on that date. If you read it carefully, the date for the court appearance is if you're going to contest or fight the lawsuit. But if you owe the money and you're not going to fight it, you don't need to go to that court date. They can get a judgment, but you're judgment proof. They can't collect from you. Okay? And so we'll call this person back, talk to them, and answer their question. They're not going to need to worry. Okay? This person contacted us from Nevada. I just received a summons for a debt I can't afford, and I can't afford an attorney. If I don't show up for court, they are threatening to take whatever they can to satisfy the debt. Or as far as going to jail for contempt, I only have 10 more days to resolve this issue. I really want to file bankruptcy because all kinds of debtors are threatening me from the past due account credit cards. I just need to stop all this. We only have Social Security, nothing else. Well, we're going to call this person back or tell them, well, you don't really need to worry. You're not going to go to jail. You don't need to go to court. You're not going to need to file bankruptcy. You don't need to worry about it. I realize that getting sued can be stressful to seniors, especially if it's never happened before. Okay, I understand that. So when people enroll in helps, they give us the creditors or the collectors they owe money to. We send out a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave them alone. Okay. Now it's still possible you could get sued. And when one of our clients gets sued, we ask you to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We don't necessarily need the whole lawsuit. Just the first 3 or 4 pages should be plenty. We need the name of the attorney and the case number. And we're going to send a letter to the attorney explaining that your income is protected. You can't afford to pay the debt. You're not going to go to court. We understand that they're going to get a judgment, and explain how your bank account is protected. Remember, I've explained many times that under federal law passed in 2012, banks automatically protect twice the amount of your federal benefits, such as Social Security, deposited in the account to which it's deposited automatically from garnishment, regardless of what funds are in there or where they came from. So if you got $1,200 in Social Security each month, $2,400 in your bank account is protected automatically. So when one of our clients is sued, we remind them of that. We call them on the phone, tell them they don't have to go to court, and you're going to be fine. So that's what we're going to tell this person. You could be, I could tell them you could be sued by 100 different people for no matter how much money. They can't get anything from you because what's his answer? He says, we only have Social Security, nothing else. Yeah, no, they can't take anything. Now, if you got a pension, it's protected too, or IRA, or 401k, VA benefits. Virtually any form of retirement income is going to be protected. He's not going to need to worry about it. Okay. So this person contacts us from Virginia. My husband and I are only 74 years old and have accrued debt slowly since retirement of around $50,000 in credit cards. My Social Security is around $1,200 and my husband is around $750 monthly. So they're getting $2,000 in Social Security. We have no other regular income except we have, they sold some puppies in the past. Their home is in an irrevocable trust. Can creditors come against the trust now or after our death? No, if it's an irrevocable trust, no, it's protected from creditors. If it's done the right way, there shouldn't be any problem with the home. No one's going to be able to take it. It's going to go to the beneficiary of your trust. If it's your kids, at your death, it'll go to their kids. Okay. Now, if there's any debt owing on the home, such as a mortgage, then the mortgage will need to be paid. But that's it. We're struggling to make credit card payments. They ask, can you help us? Sure. We're going to tell you can stop making the credit card payments. You're going to give them to us. We're going to send them a cease and desist letter. They're going to leave you alone. Now, it's possible you could get sued. Probably won't, but you could. But if you are, you're going to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We're going to call you, explain why your income's protected, why your other assets are safe, including your home. We're going to send a letter to the attorney that sued you, letting them know that you're not going to go to court. We understand they're going to get a judgment. Remind them of the protected nature of your bank account. We really don't need to do that because your bank's going to protect your bank account automatically. But we tell them that anyway. Okay. So that's when they originally contacted us. And they called back, may have been even today, it looks like. And they wanted to enroll. And they had no further questions. We reminded them how their bank account was protected. And they enrolled. So it's that simple. It's kind of nice with helps. We've designed helps though that, people can enroll over the phone. You don't need to fill out any form. Okay. Call us. We go over questions. We have a little form we fill out that's confidential. Not any intrusive questions, and then we save that information. So when you call back, if you're a husband and wife, we just save it under the husband's name, but we also have the wife's name down there. And you call back, you say who you are, and we can find what you talked to us about before. And then we're going to send a letter to the creditor. When you decide to enroll, you're going to let us know. We can enroll you over the phone. You're going to get an email from us confirming you're a member of HELPS, and telling you how to get us the creditors. You can text them, fax us, email or mail them to us. We click a button and we keep you on the phone. You're going to get an email that says welcome to HELPS, confirming you're a member of HELPS immediately. That's what we do. Okay? And then the whole purpose helps if you ever have a question or concern, you pick up the phone and you call, no matter how often. Okay? Like Peter says, the letter from a bankruptcy attorney was a heads up on how I found out that I was being sued. Yeah, that happens a lot. Sometimes you might get a half a dozen of those letters, depending on where you live. So this person contacted us from Georgia. She was with a debt settlement company and they did nothing. You've heard me talk about that before, haven't you? She was paying them, but they did not pay her credit card debt. I don't know if you can hear in the background. Just a minute. Hey, quiet. Come here. Come here. Sorry about that. I have a little dog that wants to play fetch really bad. Here she is. Hey there. Yeah, I'll be out. I got to talk to these people. Sorry about that, folks. I've had dogs my whole life. You know the saying, a dog is man's best friend? I was thinking about that last night. My little dog is my best friend, aren't you? Look what you Here, no. No, you go play with someone else. There we go. Yeah. You'll hear the squeaking going on now. Sorry. I usually have her outside playing, but she won't give up. So I try to don't get distracted by the squeaking. Yeah, no. So anyway, let's go on. I'm sorry. I gotta let her outside real quick, otherwise she'll just drive us both crazy. Come on, let's go. Sorry, back with you. Okay. So this person contacts us from Georgia with a debt settlement company. Okay. They did nothing. She was paying them, but they did not pay her credit card debt. Went over what we do and how to stop their payments to them. And we sent an email talking about debt management, debt settlement companies. They called back. She wanted to talk to her son about this. And then she enrolled. Okay, so I'll talk for a second about debt settlement, debt management companies. You've heard me talk about before, and if you're a regular listener, you know what I'm going to say, but there's a lot of new people listening to this, okay? You might be involved with debt settlement or debt management, okay? One thing I tell seniors is that, you know, if you're involved with those companies, I'll ask you, when you enrolled with them, did they tell you, by the way, you don't need our help. Your Social Security is protected, so is your pension. No one can take it from you. You don't need debt settlement or debt management. Did they tell you that? No, they didn't tell you that. If they told you that, you wouldn't have enrolled with them, and they wouldn't make money off you. So even the nonprofit ones, with few exceptions, don't tell seniors how their money is protected, okay, which is kind of sad. And I get worked up over this because I talk to a lot of seniors that have been put in utter poverty making payments to debt management companies, and they've never been told that their income is protected. Okay. So this person contacted us from Pennsylvania. They get Social Security and a pension, and they were sued for a credit card debt. Once again, they were using a debt consolidation company and were paying $500 a month, but they stopped because they couldn't afford it. Now they have a lawsuit for $12,000 in her name. Husband is disabled and she is trying to handle all the banking, and it says it's overwhelming. They both have Social Security, and he has an annuity pension, and there are also IRAs and 401ks. Your IRA and 401k is also protected. I tell seniors, don't use your IRA or 401k to pay old debt. That's used for your needs, for your food, your medicine, and your future needs. Once it's paid on old debt, it's gone. You can't replace it. Okay? Don't use it to pay old debt. The home is in the husband's name. And it says here, the client was, these are notes from my paralegal, one of the paralegals that helps. It says, they were pretty overwhelmed. And we emailed her a bunch of emails that talk about helps, lawsuit fears, about joint tenancy, bankruptcy versus helps. It says, I'll discuss this with my husband and call back. This was on March 7th. And then on March 12th, called back with some questions. They got the answers from the emails we sent them and from our prior discussions. She's going to be totally relieved. Why is she going to be relieved? Well, okay, a bunch of reasons. She doesn't have to pay $500 to the debt consolidation company. She doesn't have to worry about paying any of the old debt. She's going to give them to help. So we're going to send a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave her alone. If they have any questions, they're going to call us, not her. And she's going to realize that she can always call us if she's got questions. Home is in her husband's name. Even if she got sued, they can't do anything. They can't do anything to her husband. She doesn't need to worry at all. She doesn't need to file bankruptcy. She's going to be completely fine. Whereas before, where she said she was overwhelmed, now she's going to be overwhelmed with peace, not worrying about this anymore. Okay? That's what helps is here for, so that you don't need to worry. You can stop worrying. Okay? Jimmy says, years back, I had a heck of a time getting money back from a debt relief company, but I got it back. My nieces were getting ready to take the bar exam, and she wrote them a strong letter that was, you bet. Hopefully there'll be a day when there'll be a comeuppance for these companies. Someday I hope it helps us big enough that we can start doing some lawsuits against them for what they do. Because a lot of what they do is wrong. One of the definitions of fraud is withholding information from someone that's important for them financially. And that's what a lot of these debt management, debt settlement companies do. If they sign seniors up to pay debt without telling them that their income is protected, that no one can take it, they're withholding the most critical information the senior deserves to know. Okay. So this person contacts us from Georgia. She says she's ready to let the credit cards go into default. And the reason, she was helping her daughter get back on her feet when her daughter had some medical issues happen to her. Mom was helping the daughter. She's been watching helps on YouTube for a while now and finally called in, but is overall familiar with what we do. Yeah, we talk to people sometimes that are hesitant to call us. If you're one of those persons, and don't hesitate to give us a call. We're nice when you call. We're not going to accuse you of anything or blame you of anything. We're going to be anything but understanding, and we're going to give you good news so you don't need to worry. Okay? It goes on to say, considered bankruptcy, but decided it's not really necessary or affordable for her right now. And that's right. Not necessary. So this is the route she is choosing, and she is thankful this route is available. Yeah, that kind of sums up. She was 78 years old, mom helping her daughter, had debt, couldn't afford to pay it. You know, when I was doing bankruptcy, I would shudder whenever I'd see a bankruptcy attorney walk into a bankruptcy hearing with someone in their latter 70s or even 70s or even later than that. And I know the trustee would wonder too, why is this attorney coming in with this old person to file bankruptcy? They don't need to file bankruptcy. They don't need to file bankruptcy. And what helps does is we represent, seniors that owe debt, so the creditors got to leave them alone. They can't bother them anymore. Okay? So this person contacted us. They get a little over $1,200 a month. He says, I just can't afford paying my credit cards anymore. I can't file bankruptcy because I don't have the money. Bankruptcy is expensive. What does it cost? Probably $2,000, pretty much minimum anywhere. More than that, a lot of times. And he says, I filed in 2018 and it hasn't been long enough anyway. I'm 73, rent, have a car and a Blazer, an older car. I own nothing and barely getting by. My credit cards are charging me 29% interest. I know they're going to take me to court, and I can't even drive to the courthouse. I don't know what to do. Can you help me? I'm alone in this world. Oh, I don't like to hear that. I'm alone in this world. Well, you're not alone. As far as we're concerned, we're going to help you. It doesn't mean you're going to get sued automatically if you don't pay the debt, and it doesn't matter if you are sued. If you're sued, you get us a copy of the lawsuit. We're going to send a letter to the attorney and let him know your income's protected. We're going to call you, explain why you don't need to worry about the lawsuit and why you're not going to need to drive to court. You're not going to need to go to court. Okay? And when you say you're alone in the world, you can always call help. So if you're worried or scared, okay, that's what we're here for. We do a lot of things other than just protect debt collector or creditors or seniors from debt collectors harassing them. Our second mission is to educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. We'll talk to you about other things. We talk to people about, maybe they're paying too much in rent. We'll talk to them about Section 8 housing. We'll talk to them about veterans, that maybe there's a veteran benefit they're entitled to that they don't know about. Maybe if you got a car payment you can't afford, we'll talk to you about why you don't necessarily need that, keep that car or that RV, how you can let it go back. Okay? Maybe if you have a timeshare, you don't need to pay it anymore. If you've been sued and someone has a judgment and they ask for follow-up paper, you can call us. We're going to help you with that. Okay? Now, we don't go to court. We don't need to go to court. But what we do is give seniors and disabled persons that have these problems legal information, that they can use. But the most important thing is that we let people know that your income and your assets are protected. Now, what do I mean by assets? I mean talking about your home and your property that you have, your car. Virtually every state has what's called exemption laws that protect a certain amount of equity in property, which means how much that property is worth. Okay, equity is how much it's worth less what you owe on it. What's the difference? That's your equity. And one thing we tell seniors that even if you have assets, let's say you've got a car that's worth $10,000, but the exemption in your state is only $5,000. So you've got $5,000 equity in that car that isn't technically protected. And you might be worried, well, gee, if someone sues me and gets a judgment, they're going to take that car. We're going to explain to you why it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors to go after people's personal property or their home either. They're not going to go after your car. Even if it's free and clear and you've got equity over and above the exemption where you live, they simply don't do it for a variety of different reasons. So that's what we're going to tell this guy. We're going to tell him he's not alone in the world and that he can call us with his questions and he's going to be okay. And peace is going to come back to his life. That's what we want for our clients. Is for them to have peace, not worry about this stuff. Okay. If you got questions, put them in the chat feature. I know you talk amongst yourselves, but I try to find the questions and so L. Young says, I was garnished in July 24 and the court took all my disability money. I thought my objection time had passed. However, yesterday I was able to object in the court. Yeah, okay, so here's the rule. If someone sues you and gets a judgment, okay, and they try to garnish your bank account, once again, as I explained, twice the amount of federal benefit is automatically protected by your bank from garnishment, no matter what other monies happen to be there. But let's say you're not getting Social Security, you're getting disability income, you're not on Social Security for whatever reason. Your disability income is protected, but it may not be protected automatically, which means if someone sued you and got a judgment and they happen to garnish your bank account, then they could hold up those funds and you'd have to file what's called a challenge to garnishment or claim of exemption to get that money released. Most of the time, that doesn't happen very often with HELPS clients, but if it did happen, we're going to help you. We're going to help you, get that form. A lot of times you're sent that form and you have to fill it out, and sometimes there's a deadline. If you wait too long, then you can't claim it as exempt. So you've got to fill out that form to get it claimed as exempt. So looks like L. Young is doing that. Okay. Buddha had asked, hello, sir. I want to know if I get a lawsuit judgment against me, will I be notified when someone knocks on your door and serves you with some legal papers? Normally it's a summons and complaint or something like that. Virginia, they call it a warrant in debt. Okay. Why they do that, I don't know. But you're going to get sued with some legal papers saying you've been sued. Okay. Now, if you're a member of HELPS, you're going to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We're going to send a letter to the attorney that sued you and let him know that your income is protected. We understand they're going to get a judgment, and then we're going to call you and explain why you don't need to worry, why you don't need to go to court, and why they can't take any money from you. But in the meantime, if you're not a member of HELPS and you get sued and you owe the money, you don't need to go to court. And eventually you're going to get a judgment. But if you get Social Security, then you're going to want to make sure that you have just one bank account, and that's the account to which your Social Security is deposited. And you want to keep the balance in the account less than twice the amount of your monthly Social Security. That way your bank will automatically protect that amount of money in the event they were ever to garnish your bank account or file paperwork. They can't garnish your bank account until they've sued you and have a judgment against you. Now, if they sue you, it's going to take them a month or 2 or 3 or 4 months or longer before they're going to eventually get a judgment. Then they have to know where you bank. That's not easy to find out. Okay, there's no place they can go to find out where you can bank. But if they did, and if you're careful to keep less than twice the amount of your federal benefit in the bank account, it's protected. Okay? Now, if you want to contest the lawsuit, if you don't owe money, you can do that, but you don't have to do that. So what I'm telling you is that you're judgment proof, which means that if you're a senior and getting Social Security or a pension or disability or VA benefit, or all these monies are protected. Okay, it can't be taken from you, even if they get a judgment. Don't need to worry about it. So Colorado County says, I must file bankruptcy in Colorado, but have 2 questions. If I sell my home later after charge-offs, after I'm assuming the bankruptcy is over with, is there a minimum amount of time I should wait to protect my equity? No, there's no, I'm not aware of, bankruptcy is federal law, but the states implement it in different ways. And once you file bankruptcy, you get a discharge of your debt. You could sell your home the next day. There shouldn't be an issue. You had mentioned Section 8 housing voucher. Is there any way to expedite the Section 8 housing voucher process? I live in Maine and have been on the list for 4 years. We do have an email that talks about that. You can call helps and ask for that. We call it a bells and whistles. It's an email that talks about how to get moved up on the list, and it might be helpful for you. Okay, may not work, but you can try it. Other thing you should know is that you can apply for Section 8 anywhere in the country. It doesn't have to be just where you live. Obviously, certain parts of the country, there's longer waits to get on Section 8 than other parts of the country. Entering bankruptcy in Colorado, working part-time and receives, how long must I make sure to only have two? Only need to worry about that is if you've been sued and there's a judgment against you and you're worried about getting garnished. See, the protections on your bank account, that's automatic protection by your bank. See, there's a federal law passed in 2012 that tells banks that if they get a writ of garnishment, they have to examine your account and they have to examine what money got deposited in your account. And if you got money from a federal source, then they're to take that amount times 2 and protect that amount in your bank account. So if you got money from Social Security, twice that is protected automatically. Now, if you had more than that in there and it came from an exempt source like your pension or Social Security, it's still protected. It's just not protected automatically. You could file a challenge to garnishment or claim an exemption to have that money released to you. Okay? Are these laws going to change with the new government? No. Laws we talk about are not going to be affected by the new government. No. I've never heard of a 25-year wait to get on Section 8. A lot of times we'll tell people about Section 8, and I might tell them they're not interested. And I say, well, you may want to apply anyway because there's a waiting period, and if you're offered it 2 or 3 years down the road, you may be real glad that you applied for it when you did. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with applying for it early. During the bankruptcy case, once you file bankruptcy attorney is going to go over this, is that there's an automatic stay put in effect, which means that stops any legal proceeding, including any garnishment or lawsuit or anything. It's a put a stop once the bankruptcy is filed. But I'll tell you this, Colorado country loving lady, I filed 25, 30, 40,000 bankruptcies before helps. And I talked to a lot of people, with helps that have talked about bankruptcy. The vast majority have absolutely no need to file bankruptcy. And you might, they might think they do, but they really don't need to for a lot of different reasons. Okay? But it's your choice. I know I have to file bankruptcy because I bring in $3,000 a month along with my pension and Social Security. You're talking about $3,000 in wages. Okay. Well, it depends where you live. Some states don't allow garnishment of wages. Doesn't, even if you are working and have wages. And if you're sued, doesn't mean that a creditor's going to know where you're working. You could always choose to file bankruptcy at some point in the future. So, there's different reasons. We go over that with people when they call us. We'll be filing without an attorney. Can't afford one. Any knowledge of people who've used Upsolve. I know about Upsolve. Talk to them. I think I haven't heard a lot of positive things. It's really difficult to file bankruptcy by yourself. Okay. We have an email a form email that we send to people. It's called Bankruptcy versus Help. So it explains why people don't need to file bankruptcy, or reasons when bankruptcy could make sense for a senior, that we'll send to anyone that wants that email. Yeah, if they're going to save a lot of money through this Doge program, maybe they could use some of that money to make more affordable housing available, more Section 8 apartments available for people. There's a real need for that. Can a pooled income trust be garnished? The whole idea around a trust is that it can't be garnished. Okay? Trust can't be garnished. Shouldn't be an issue for you. This person contacted us from New Mexico, and they say, I found helps on YouTube. I'm so glad I did, because I really needed your help. I'm 70 years old, single, and have over $30,000 in charge-off credit card debt that I can't afford to pay. I also have a default judgment against me by Capital One and a summary judgment by Discover Card. I have attached copies of both lawsuits with this email. I agreed to make monthly payments to Discover Card through their attorney. However, that was before I knew that my income and assets were protected. I can't afford to keep making payments to them. Since I only have a small Social Security income of whatever it is, I don't even have enough to cover my living expenses. In addition to 2 lawsuits, I also have debt collectors that are calling, texting, and emailing me constantly on a daily basis. Portfolio recovery, Midland Credit Management. It's indebted, whatever that is. Indebted say they're helping Midland, and they email me several times a day. Please enroll me in Help's Law Group. I need your help as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Look forward to becoming one of your clients. Sincerely. They have a home that's free and clear, but it's exempt in their state. They have a car. They're going to be fine. We're going to enroll them. See, a debt collector doesn't have to tell you that your income is protected. All they have to say is, any information we use can be used for the purpose of collecting a debt. They're not going to tell you that your Social Security is protected and so is your pension. They're not going to do that. So this person from New Mexico that has these judgments, they're not going to worry. Now, they may be worried that they agreed to pay this law firm some money on a debt. Well, they don't need to continue making that payment. They can stop. Just because you agreed to pay it doesn't mean you have to keep paying it. You can stop that immediately. Doris says, Eric, I'm on Social SSI from the Social. Is my income automatically protected where my bank manager will know? Will the bank manager know? Bank manager has nothing to do with it, Doris. There's a department in your bank that deals with garnishments, and I've talked to a lot of bank managers over the last 14 years since this rule's been in effect. I've yet to meet one that understands the rule. I'll ask him. Whenever I see one, I always ask at the end of the conversation, I'll ask her, I got a question for you. Under this scenario, what's the answer? And they always get it wrong. They don't know. But there's a department in your bank that deals with garnishments. That's why, if you talk to the bank manager or someone at the bank about this, they're not going to give you the right information. And if you call them on the phone, you're not going to get through to that department. You might get like you don't need to. The banks know this. It's if they get a garnishment, there's a department that handles the garnishments. And the first thing they do is they look at where your money came from. And if it came from a federal source, then they times that times two, and they protect that automatically without you having to do anything. Your bank manager doesn't deal with it. Okay? And if you just talk to him about it, he might give you a wrong answer and you're going to be worried. I don't want you to be worried. You don't need to talk to him about it. So we do, these YouTube live videos. We do them Monday through Thursday for an hour, same time. And I do a lot of videos with seniorliving.org, their YouTube channel. Jeff Hoyt. You may have seen some of those videos. They've got a bigger YouTube page than we do. They have a lot more people that are subscribed to their channel. And Jeff, I've been talking to Jeff about doing, live videos with his audience, and it looks like we may be heading in that direction, and that would be really neat. And I'll let you know if we have any news on that, because when we start that, we're going to want people to listen to that. There'll be a specific date and time. We haven't talked about how often it would be. I'm hoping it's at least 2 days a week with those guys. I think it'd be huge. I think a lot of seniors that don't know about this opportunity to get answers to their questions would be thrilled to see that on seniorliving.org. Okay. So this person contacts us from Michigan, age is 63. I just saw your YouTube about your services and feel stupid for going through national debt relief on a bunch of bills. I don't want you to feel stupid, but yeah, you don't need to go to national debt relief. They never said anything about my disability check being protected. Just got me in a plan to pay $257 a month for 550 months. Yeah, that's why. Why is because they get to keep part of that money. That's how they make their money. If they told you your income was protected, you would have never signed up with them. I have a car I still owe $5,000 on that hasn't ran in 3 months because I can't afford to fix it and haven't been able to fix it because of my medical costs. Your message, I've been on disability for the last 20 months, will be, okay, what are the options here? Well, if you got a car payment and you can't afford it and there's no equity in it and you can't afford to fix it, you can just stop making the payment and let the car go back. Okay. They may not even pick it up. It's not running, but anyway. So another person contacted us, looks like the same day. Said a loan was taken out through Reach Financial to pay off all his debts. He was never told his income was protected and he didn't have to pay the debt. Okay, once again. We explained his options, what we do, protected income. He said he hadn't been able, because of paying, stopping the automatic affordable transportation. Yeah, because of what he's been having to pay, he hasn't been able to get his prescriptions. He's going to stop the auto payments, let the car go back. And then he called a month later. Thank you for all the answers you give me. I guess I need to know how to sign up for your help. This was last November. I called the debt consolidation company and got the automatic withdrawals turned off. I called the credit union and told them I wanted to surrender my vehicle back and they want to know how much my disability is, what all my bills are. I told them I just can't keep not getting my medications, and it's all just too much. And he called a few days later. What are the next steps? We can enroll him whenever he wants, what we told him. Finally, he contacted us just 3 days ago, March 11th, or 2 days ago. They had sold his car, and he got a notice of deficiency, and now they were trying to collect for the extra amount he owed on the car. He says he's ready to enroll. And we enrolled him. We're going to send letters to the debt collectors he owes money to. They're going to leave him alone. So he started contacting us in November, December, January, February, March, 4 months ago. And now he's enrolled. Now he could have enrolled back in November if he wanted to, but it doesn't matter. We don't pressure anyone to do anything with helps. We don't really have any attorneys to recommend for bankruptcy. If you're going to file bankruptcy, I do recommend that you get an attorney that's what he specializes in. So. I was wondering if I should put my pension in a bank other than my Social Security because I'm more worried about my pension being garnished because it is larger of the two. No, if you put it in a separate bank account, if they garnish that separate bank, then they could take the money out of that bank account. Now, you could file a challenge to garnishment or claim an exemption, ask the court to release those funds, but remember, twice the amount of your federal benefit, that sum of money is protected in the bank account to which is deposited regardless of what funds are in there. So say, for example, you got $1,500 in Social Security. 1,500 times 2 is 3,000. And then let's say you got a pension of 2,000. Okay, so as long as the balance is less than 3,000 in your bank account, if someone sued and got a judgment and they garnished your bank account, as long as the balance is less than 3,000, then your bank will protect that amount, even if their money came in there from some other source like your pension. So it's usually pretty easy to adjust your bank account so that you keep it less than twice the amount of your protected funds. A lot of our clients we talk to that may get a bigger pension, they say, well, it's in there and it immediately goes out. You know, I use it, I pay bills with it right then. Okay. Did you say that a trust can't be garnished? That's the whole purpose of a trust. That it can't be garnished. Okay. Now, I talked to Upsolve originally when they started. And I told them, I said, it's fine what you're doing, but a lot of the, these seniors, they don't really need to file bankruptcy. You should send them over to helps. Okay. So, looks like we've come to the end. We got 5 minutes, but the next one I have is pretty long. And I got a dog out there that wants me to throw a ball and I'm going to do that. She's been very patient, not barking. I put her outside. So, yeah, everyone have a good weekend. If I haven't answered your questions or you have any more questions, you can put them on the comments, or you can always call us toll free, 855-435-7787. 855 helps US or helps us. Okay? Don't want you to worry. God bless. Have a good day, and I will talk to you on Monday.